How moving pictures changed the world. Imagine living your entire life without ever seeing a movie. No Hollywood blockbusters, no Netflix, no YouTube, no TikTok, not even a simple video recording. For most of human history, people could only look at the real world or at still images frozen in time. Then, one invention changed everything. Today, movies are so common that we barely think about them. We watch films on our phones, laptops, and TVs every day. But just over a century ago, moving pictures seemed like pure magic. And the story of how cinema was created is far more fascinating than most people realize. It all started with a trick of the human brain. To understand the birth of cinema, we need to start not with cameras, but with the human eye. Our brains have an interesting feature known as persistence of vision. When we see an image, it doesn't disappear instantly. It remains in our visual memory for a fraction of a second. Because of this, if multiple images are shown quickly enough, our brains blend them together and perceive continuous motion. Today, this seems obvious, but in the 19th century, it felt almost magical. Inventors began experimenting with this phenomenon. They created spinning discs, rotating drums, and various optical toys filled with sequential drawings. When people looked through these devices, horses appeared to run, dancers seemed to move, and figures came to life. In a way, these were the world's first animated cartoons. But true cinema was still years away. The man who made a horse run. In 1878, an experiment took place that many historians consider one of the first steps toward modern filmmaking. A wealthy businessman and former governor of California named Leland Stanford became involved in a debate. The question was simple. When a horse gallops, are all four hooves ever off the ground at the same time? Today we can answer that question instantly with a quick search online, but back then nobody knew for sure. To settle the argument, Stanford hired photographer Edward Muybridge. Muybridge set up 24 cameras along a racetrack. As the horse ran past, it triggered each camera one after another, using strings stretched across the track. The results were astonishing. The photographs prove that during a gallop there is indeed a moment when all four hooves leave the ground. But the real breakthrough was something else. When the images were displayed rapidly in sequence, people could actually see the horse moving. For the first time, motion had been recreated using a series of photographs. Without realizing it, Muybridge had demonstrated that cinema was possible. The biggest challenge. Recording motion now inventors understood the basic idea. The next challenge was much harder. How could they capture not just a few dozen photographs, but hundreds or even thousands of images in sequence? The answer came from an American entrepreneur named George Eastman. In 1888, Eastman introduced flexible photographic film and founded the Kodak company. Before that, photographs were usually captured on heavy glass plates. Creating motion pictures using glass was nearly impossible. Flexible film changed everything. For the first time, long sequences of images could be recorded on a single strip. This invention became one of the essential foundations of cinema. Thomas Edison joins the race. Whenever people talk about great inventors of the 19th century, one name almost always appears. Thomas Edison. Light bulbs, sound recording, electrical systems, his influence was enormous. When Edison learned about advances in photography, he became interested in capturing movement. Working with his assistant, William Kennedy Dixon, he developed a machine called the kinetograph. It was one of the world's first motion picture cameras. Soon afterward came another invention, the kinetoscope. This device allowed people to watch short films, but there was a catch. Only one person could watch at a time. Viewers had to lean over the machine and look through a small viewing window. Inside, they would see a brief film lasting only a few seconds. It was essentially a giant personal video player. Edison believed this was the future of entertainment. He was wrong. The two brothers who changed history. The real breakthrough happened in France. Two brothers named Auguste and Louis Lumière carefully studied existing technologies and decided to improve them. Their invention was called the cinematograph. Unlike previous devices, it could function as a camera, a film printer, and a projector. But its greatest advantage was simple. It could show movies to an entire audience at once. That single innovation changed history. On December 28, 1895, the Lumiere brothers held what is widely considered the first commercial film screening. The event took place in the basement of a café in Paris. Only a few dozen people attended. None of them knew they were witnessing the birth of a new era. The first movie screening. The films shown that evening were incredibly short. Workers leaving a factory, a baby eating breakfast, a gardener getting sprayed with water. By modern standards, these scenes seem ordinary. But for audiences in 1895, they were extraordinary. For the first time in history, photographs had come alive. Many viewers were amazed. One of the most famous films was Arrival of a Train at La Ciotat Station. According to a popular legend, audience members panicked and jumped from their seats because they thought the train was about to burst through the screen. Historians still debate whether that actually happened. But one thing is certain, the experience was powerful enough to leave audiences stunned. They felt as if they were seeing the future. An incredible irony. One of the most surprising facts about cinema is that its creators didn't believe it would become successful. Louis Lumiere is often quoted as saying that cinema was an invention without a future. The brothers believed people would eventually lose interest in watching short scenes from everyday life. They couldn't have been more wrong. Within just a few years, movies became one of the most popular forms of entertainment on Earth. The first wizard of cinema. While the Lumiere brothers focused on recording reality, another man realized that cinema could do something far greater. His name was Georges Méliès. Before entering filmmaking, Méliès worked as a magician, and because of that, he saw possibilities others missed. What if movies could show things that were impossible in real life? One day, while filming, his camera accidentally stopped recording. When filming resumed, an object in the scene had changed position. When the footage was played back, it appeared as if one object had magically transformed into another. A new special effect had been discovered by accident. Méliès immediately began experimenting. Disappearances, transformations, explosions, flights through space, magical adventures. In 1902, he released A Trip to the Moon, one of the first science fiction films ever made. The famous image of a rocket striking the moon in the eye remains one of the most iconic shots in cinema history. Cinema becomes a global industry. During the early 20th century, movie theaters began appearing across the world. Films grew longer. Actors became celebrities. Directors developed new techniques such as editing, close-ups, and visual storytelling. Cinema was evolving from a technological curiosity into a true art form. Then came another revolution. For decades, movies were completely silent. Actors spoke on screen, but audiences could not hear their voices. Daga was displayed using text cards placed between scenes. That changed in 1927. A film called The Jazz Singer introduced synchronized sound to a mass audience. The movie industry would never be the same again. Over the following decades came color films, widescreen formats, computer-generated imagery, and eventually digital filmmaking. Yet all of it can be traced back to those first experiments with moving photographs. Conclusion. Today, hundreds of hours of video are uploaded to YouTube every single minute. Anyone with a smartphone can record footage of a quality that early filmmakers could never have imagined. But it all began with a simple question about a running horse, a series of photographs, a basement cafe in Paris, and a group of inventors determined to make still images come alive. Cinema didn't just change entertainment. It transformed the way humanity tells stories, preserves memories, and understands the world. And that's why the history of cinema is more than the story of a technology. It's the story of one of the most powerful ideas ever created.